Hello everyone. Have you ever walked into a place that feels strange? Like the air is thick, with invisible eyes watching you, or whispers echoing from empty rooms. If you're obsessed with real ghost stories, haunted places, and real paranormal experiences that give you goosebumps, you're in the right place. Welcome to Morrigan Dread Horror, the definitive channel for supernatural tales, spooky encounters, and haunted landmarks from around the world. I'm Morrigan, your host, and we delve into the unknown every day to bring you spine-chilling stories submitted by viewers like you. If this is your first time, subscribe now and turn on notifications so you don't miss our weekly posts filled with eerie tales and user-submitted scares. Today, we'll explore haunted havens, cursed places that will haunt your dreams, 5 true stories of abandoned chapels, restaurants from hell, and more. Stay until the end to read my theories and share your own experiences in the comments. Let's get started, but first, if you have a story, submit it to the link below. Ready? These stories might make you question every shadow in your home. Hi Morrigan, this is Emily, 31, living in Albany, New York. I'm sharing a story from when my husband Jake and I were dating. Feel free to use our names and the city, no problem. Just get to the story. In our town, there's an old dirt road called Old Trail Road, lined with farmland and connecting some nearby areas. Jake and I used to drive there during the day to take scenic photos. It's a stunning landscape. On one trip, we came across this abandoned chapel. The road is famous in the area. Buried bodies have been found there, and people leave offerings for the dead. There are roadside shrines and graves of people who died along the way. Because we are curious and love a good mystery, and we are both psychics, we decided to check it out at night to get a feel for it. We always had an uneasy feeling near the chapel during the day. A few times, we tried contacting spirits through a smartphone app called Ghost Radio, receiving random responses. We're not 100% convinced of the app's legitimacy, but we picked up phrases, names, and words that didn't make sense to us. One night, a male voice said, "blonde hair," and the word suicide. A female voice mentioned doctors and fraud. On the way back, with the app nearly calibrated, we connected with a male entity whose voice was brimming with anger. When we asked who it was, it replied, "The darkness." We ran home as fast as we could. That voice kept us awake for days. The scariest part? We have recordings of the recordings, lasting 1 to 3 minutes each, but when we reviewed the recording later, there was nothing there. The voice simply disappeared. We searched online and couldn't find anything online about the reason for the chapel's abandonment. But one thing is certain. The place is absolutely eerie. All those offerings and shrines leave the place with a very heavy energy. Even as mediums, we didn't feel comfortable on that road. It seems like a cursed place. I hope you pick up this story. It really scared us. We were reckless back then and full of curiosity, and we almost got into serious trouble. What do you think? Is the app real, or was it just a coincidence? Big hug, lots of positive vibes to you, and keep rocking the channel. I watch all your stories. Wow, Emily, that place looks really creepy. The road actually looks like an unofficial cemetery, and the chapel is abandoned. A red flag for haunted energy. Ghost apps in real paranormal investigations? I'm skeptical, but I've heard similar voices in scenes with dark histories, like suicides or frauds. Chapels hold funerals, traumatic deaths, leave spirits trapped, amplified by grief. Chances are you've captured legitimate EVPs. And disappearing audio? Classic entities dodging exposure. If you've used ghost hunting apps and gotten bizarre results, leave them in the comments below. What did you hear? Let's delve deeper into this discussion for more supernatural clues. But don't stop now. We'll jump right into the next story. Keep watching. Hey Morrigan, you can call me Sarah. To this day, I regret ignoring my instincts the first time I walked into that restaurant. It was a tiny, somewhat hidden corner, with a facade that hadn't been renovated since the 1980s. The sign was faded, and the owner, Mr. Claude, was a quiet guy with a distant look in his eye, as if he were hearing whispers no one else could. But the pay was decent, and I needed the money, so I took the job. At first, it seemed strange. The few long-time employees' turnover was high, barely spoke, but when they did, they told bizarre stories. Like a guy who would freak out, breaking everything in the middle of a shift, screaming about something inside him trying to escape. Or a woman who swore she saw someone hanging in the storage room, but it was empty. At least once a week, random fights broke out between the customers, who didn't even know each other, as if some force brought out their worst sides. The nightmare peaked on a busy Saturday night. It was almost midnight. I was scrubbing the grate as a routine closing routine. Earlier, I had joked with Mr. Claude about my sensitive friend, a spiritual advisor who could check for bad vibes. He turned serious and smiled. "Bring him here. If he calms this place down, it will be a relief." That was it. 10 minutes later, alone in the kitchen with my back to the door, the temperature plummeted, not a normal chill, but a dry, piercing cold. Then, invisible hands grabbed my arms, slamming my hands against the grate. At first, I thought it was a joke, but there was no one there. The scariest part? The grate wasn't plugged in, but it heated up anyway. My skin burning. I tried to scream, nothing came out. My throat clogged. Tears streamed down. I could smell my own flesh. In desperation, the creed prayer popped into my head. I'm not very religious, but I recited it mentally. Hearing, "I believe in God the Father Almighty," the tightness disappeared. I collapsed, my hands blistered, and rushed to the emergency room. I lied, saying I tripped and held on to the railing to keep from falling. The doctors didn't believe me, but they didn't insist either. I texted Mr. Claude the next day. "I'm not going back." He replied, "I understand, girl. Thanks anyway." I never went back there. Whatever it is, there's a spirit, a curse, an entity one that doesn't want to be exposed. It's as if the place has a mind, ancient and heavy, sensing threats. Now it's closed, sealed with a "for sale" sign. Walking by gives me chills, a pressure in my chest, as if it's watching me. Last I heard, Mr. Claude closed due to health problems. I bet the energy drained him and his family. Intense, huh, Sarah? I've heard many stories about cursed places where professionals quit their jobs after sinister and unexplained accidents. Some haunted places are untouchable. Have you ever quit your job because of paranormal activity? Share your horror stories at work to keep the engagement going. Don't leave just yet, because we have another scary story coming up. Leave a like, subscribe now, and activate the bell for more scary videos. Let's go. Hi, Morrigan. I'm Andrew, real name. No problem mentioning. I love your videos. I'm 17 now, but this one happened when I was 14. No fuss, here's the story. My family has a farm, a stunning place. Everyone loves it. It's sad, I can't stay long now. I get sick, and you'll see why. 3 years ago, a tragedy struck. Grandma and Grandpa lived there. My godfather, Louis, fed the animals daily. One day, Louis rode off to the lower pasture, and Grandpa to the upper pasture far apart. Grandma was doing the chores inside. When lunchtime came, Louis came back from herding, but without Grandpa, he was taking his time. Grandma said, "Louis, look at the upper pasture. I have a strong feeling. I think your father died." She sensed this, along with his heart problems. Louis rode off quickly and found Grandpa hanging from a rope. Suicide? Totally shocked, Louis ran back to tell Grandma. She immediately dropped the pots and plates and said she'd seen Grandpa fetching rope from the shed earlier, thinking it was for the cattle, not for that. That night, I went to help with the funeral preparations. My mediumship is strong because of my faith. I slept very poorly, noises everywhere. I saw Grandpa wandering outside through the window. The next day, with the funeral over, I returned home. A year passed before I visited Grandma again. The energy in the house is oppressively heavy now. I see Grandpa wandering the pasture as if lost. I feel stomach pains and a bit of insomnia when I'm there, but I don't say anything to Grandma so as not to make her sadder. Sometimes I go there, but I always see him wandering around and I get very depressed. It's a very difficult situation for me. You see the spirit of someone you love, but you can't help. No matter how hard I try, he needs help to let go, and that can take a long time. That's it. I hope you enjoyed it. Kisses. Heavy stuff, Andrea. Suicidal energy is very difficult to heal, especially for older people. The stigma against mental health help is ingrained in families, like mine, with stories of long-time relatives. Share your thoughts on haunted family lands in the comments. Let's unravel them. Next, a cursed plot with demonic pacts and buried gold. Stay tuned for the twists and turns. Hey Morrigan, you can call me Petra. No problem with the names below. Some parts are other people's opinions for clarity. Please excuse any typos. I hope you enjoy. Over 3 decades ago, my great-grandmother Mary's brother-in-law longed for this particular plot of land. Extremely obsessed, he cursed it. He said nothing would prosper for whoever lived there. My family, divided in two by a small road. On one side, my grandparents, Uncles George and William, Mom Tamara, and I on the other. On Christmas Day 2024, under a large tree on my grandparents' side, chatting about Grandpa's drinking, because he wasn't there, Grandma Lucia mentioned an old story about a pot of gold buried in the land. Somehow, through various conversations, we arrived at this story. About 20 years ago, a woman and a child who claimed to be mediums appeared. They said a spirit demanded 2.2 kilograms of prime beef to reveal the steps to find a huge pot of gold buried there. The grandparents didn't believe it. A theory emerged. Someone in the family here must die, sell their soul to the devil, or make a pact to have the location revealed. The great-grandfather believed it. Almost did he stop talking about sacrifice. It's a confusing story. I understand if people doubt it. The family avoids details. But several relatives tell the same story, so I believe it. Uncle William once said, "You don't know half of what happens at night, cans banging outside. I heard it from my room." Another, scarier story of his. When he was in high school, classes were held at night. One day, on his way home, the bus dropped him off at a nearby gas station. He walked home. When he got to the road, he saw a shadow coming from his parents' house toward Tamara's house. He thought it was her, called out, but there was no answer, and kept walking. When he got home, he told his family. His mother said, "Tamara wasn't here." She confirmed it. Another from William. Working in the fields, I felt someone passing by me. I looked, and nothing was there. Probably Charles. Charles was my great-grandmother's deceased brother. In life, he constantly complained about land and plants. Once, he demanded that eucalyptus trees be cut down. Claiming they would fall on his side, I refused. To this day, passing by those trees, I hear the cracking and creaking. Coincidence? About Charles. He had a statue of the devil in the basement. He fed it pieces of meat from slaughtered animals. They said he made a pact with the devil, and that makes sense. He had a comfortable life, but was very greedy and stingy. Which brings us to the story of the woman and child, saying that spirit demanded meat years later. Probably Charles, feeding the curse. These are some stories from this cursed land. I also saw and heard presences here. I have no idea what it is. Hope you enjoyed it. Kisses? Jaw-dropping, Petra? Curses compounding rituals? Explain the recurring hauntings. Investigate further. It could drain your family. Stories of cursed inheritance? Comment yours to share with the community. Now for the final story. a school where child ghosts play. Forever press play and get ready. Hello, Morrigan and fellow paranormal fans. The names have changed, but the town has kept its essence. Feel free to research. I'm Simone. In 1998, my husband and I moved to Chamonix, France, due to his job transfer. Once settled, I looked for a job and got a job cleaning a school. On the first day, my coworkers made up supernatural stories. They thought it was a prank on the new girl. I didn't believe in ghosts at the time, but then the strangeness began. After class, I heard children running in the gym, laughter in the hallways, materials being moved. I spent hours looking for a bucket and found it in an unfamiliar room. It scared the hell out of me. I told my husband. He was curious and asked his coworkers. They said years ago, the place was a children's sanatorium. Many died of tuberculosis. One researched Chamonix, famous for the tuberculosis era due to its cold climate. People were arriving in droves for treatment. Knowing this, my fear subsided. I thought, they're just spirits of children trapped in the building. Until then, there had been only sounds and moving things. At the Children's Day party in October, everyone wasn't wearing uniforms. I saw a girl crouched behind a tree, sobbing. She was wearing a strange, old-fashioned dress, but it was a party day, and there were many poor children, so perhaps second-hand clothes. I approached her and asked her, "What's wrong, dear? Why didn't you go to the party? Come out, let's talk. Let me take care of you." She stopped crying, looked up with a look of sadness. Blonde hair, braids, freckles on her face. Children were running after a ball. I looked back when I turned. She disappeared. Impossible, she would have to outrun me. She vanished. Terrified, I ran to the party. The next morning at home, I woke up and suddenly, she sat on the edge of my bed. I screamed loudly. My husband woke up and asked me what was happening because he hadn't seen anything. She appeared frequently afterward, often in a frightening way, usually only at work. My husband, frightened by each story I told, called a pastor to bless the house. He said I'd invited her, offering care. I prayed she'd leave me alone and calm down. Coincidence or not, I never saw her again. I worked there for a few more years, continued to hear laughter and footsteps, but no images. I still think about her sometimes. Why was she crying? Why the sadness, even though she was at a party? Did she follow me because of the promise? I'm heartbroken for her and try to imagine what she must have been through. Well, that's it, Hugs. Wow, Simone, that's scary. Children's spirits? I imagine they're impersonators, dark energies posing as innocents to invade, like the legend of Annabelle. The history of sanatoriums generates heavy vibrations. Don't normalize anything. Cleanse at the first sign. Have you seen children's ghosts? Comment to exchange stories. A huge thank you to Emily, Sarah, Andrea, Petra, and Simone for sharing their stories. These are mind-blowing tales of curses, spirits, and unseen forces. If this gave you chills, like this video, subscribe for more true supernatural stories, and comment below about your scariest place. What cursed place haunts you? Email your encounters to the link in the description. And check out the final screen, 2 more videos recommended just for you. See you in the next video.